artificial central incisor. It's a plastic central incisor. So it's like simulation of your natural tooth. And the red thing which you see inside, what is that?
The root canal.
That is the root canal and the bulb chamber. Okay. So as I told you, the access cavity should be prepared on the lingual surface. This is the lingual surface, the labial surface, the lingual surface, the cingulum, incisal edge, and nasal and distal ridges. So the first thing which I'm going to do is, like I told you, we're going to divide our lingual surface into three parts, okay, equal parts. So I will draw a line here. Okay, this is first horizontal line, the second horizontal line equidistant, and then we will draw two vertical lines equidistant. Okay, so I have this lingual surface divided into 9 parts. So our area of concern is this central part, center of the lingual surface. So this will be the base of the triangle towards the incisal edge, okay, and the apex of the triangle you're gonna make it like this. So you can just color this area, okay. So this is our initial outline form, not your final outline form. Final outline form, obviously it will be more wider, okay, than this. The boundaries don't go and involve the cingulum, this part, okay. Don't cut or involve the incisal edge. Don't extend or make the access cavity so wider that you go on and involve the ridges, nasal and distal ridges. Keep it in the center of the lingual surface. Clear? Okay. So the first thing is, now you have the tooth. Before you start with the procedure, you have the X-ray. So take your X-ray, and on the X-ray, you just show me one X-ray. One X-ray. Any one X-ray. X-ray. The developed X-ray. Yeah, this one. This X-ray, okay. You can't see the tooth here because you have to see against the light. I'm just showing you. You keep the burr on the X-ray film in such a way so that the tip of the burr just enters the bulb chamber roof, and then you see the distance on the shank. The distance from where to where? From the incisal edge till the bulb chamber roof. And that distance, either you imagine it on the shank, or you want to draw a mark on the shank of the round burr with a marker or something, it's up to you. And what is this? This is an idea or reference for you how much deep you have to go inside the tooth to gain entry to the bulb chamber, okay, to expose the bulb chamber, okay. As I told you, 4 to 6 millimeters, it can be anywhere from 4 to 6 millimeters. So once you have this, then you're going to start with the preparation. So even you have to do the same thing when you do the practice tooth. Because for the water, either you take a metal tray or you take a rubber bowl so that all the water is collected here. So initially what I'm going to do is, I will keep my burr perpendicular to the lingual surface, okay. I will not start parallel to lingual surface. Why? Just because as a beginner, okay, the surface is sloping, so there are chances the burr may slip, okay, as a beginner, okay. But later on, once you have the skills, you can start parallel, but initially you just start it perpendicular to the lingual surface, and you start cutting the tooth according to your outline form. That means you start cutting the enamel in a triangular shape. So I will start preparing the enamel. And when you are doing this, just 1 or 2 millimeters inside, okay? just follow your outline form. The base should be towards the incisal edge, the apex towards the yeah. This is fine. Now once you go into the tooth, 1 or 2 millimeters, now you have support, okay, you have like a base or a punch cut against which you can rest your burr. Then you make the burr from perpendicular to parallel to long axis of the tooth. Now parallel to long axis of the tooth doesn't mean straight, okay? So it should be parallel to long axis, okay? But give a slight lingual tilt to the burr. Why? Because we don't want to cut the incisal edge. If you keep it straight, the shank of the burr will rub against the incisal edge, it may cut. Now this is a round burr, but when you use straight fissure, I mean the tapered fissure or endo burr, you may cut the incisal edge. So keep it slightly tilted towards the lingual. Angulation should be parallel to long axis kira. Okay, don't make it more buccally or easily distally or lingually tilted. Keep it parallel to the long axis, and the tip of the burr, very important now, the tip of the burr should always be directed towards the center of the tooth, okay, towards the pulp. Why center of the tooth? Because that is where you will find the pulp chamber, okay. So I'm now going to do the same thing. Keeping my outline form in my mind, I will start preparing the tooth now. You can see the triangle? Yes. Okay. Now, keep on going little deeper. Okay. From enamel, you go to the dentine. And from dentine, you will reach the this is the old bird, so not cutting as fast as it should. Now what will happen is, I'm going now from enamel to dentine, and then finally I will reach the pulp. The moment you reach the pulp, what will happen? Enamel is hard, dentine is hard, pulp is soft. Okay, so enamel will give you resistance, dentine will give you resistance, but pulp will not give you resistance. So what will happen is, the moment I reach the pulp chamber roof, what will happen to the burr? It will drop it. It will drop it. We call it as a drop-in effect. Drop-in effect means the burr from the dentine now has entered the pulp chamber. What is the clinical implication of this step? Clinical implication of this step is you have exposed the pulp chamber. But once you do that, what will happen if the pulp is vital? If you expose the pulp chamber?
Bleeding.
Blood, bleeding. Okay, then if the pulp is vital, you will see bleeding from the pulp chamber. Okay. If the pulp is non-vital, you will just feel the drop and you will see a dark black area, okay, in the roof of the pulp chamber. Now we are into the dentine, now going for the pulp chamber. Okay, and you can feel the drop now anytime now that you go down. You see that? That's what it came out. You see this black, the dark area there? You see that? What is that? That is now The drop, you saw that how the burr went inside, that was the dropping effect. Now once you get that, you take this instrument now, very important instrument for your endo. We call it as a endo explorer. See here. Now this is different from the explorer which you have been using in operative. Okay, that was one side was crooked shape and other side was for interproximal. This both sides they have this straight sharp tip, and we call it as DG16 anodontic explorer. There is a specific name for this. DG16 anodontic explorer. What is the use of this instrument? The use of this instrument is it will help you to locate the canal orifices. Okay, because the tip is very sharp, and so it can help you to locate the canal orifices. It can go easily into the canal orifices. The second thing is it can also remove some minute calcifications covering the orifice. So if you are not able to locate the canal, so you can use this. It will remove some very minute calcifications, and then you will feel that engagement in the canal orifice to help you locate the canal orifice. So once you feel the drop, you see, I can feel that explorer tip going inside the pulp chamber, okay, into the root canal. So just make sure you are into the pulp chamber. If sometimes the opening is very small, so instead of explorer, you can even use your file. You see this? Where is the file going? Inside the tooth. What is inside the tooth? Root canal. So once you are sure you have exposed the pulp chamber, okay, then you start with the next step of the access cavity preparation. The next step is called as de-roofing. Okay, de-roofing is passed to the board. Where we have the walls. For posteriors we have the floor. For anterior there is no floor, but premolars and molars you have the floor of the pulp chamber. You have the walls of the pulp chamber, and you have the roof of the pulp chamber. So what we are doing is we are going inside this roof. Suppose this is the crown, and this is the pulp chamber inside. Okay. So what is happening is the round burr is first going on to one point. It is just entering one part or one point in the roof. So next step, what we're going to do is we will remove the complete roof, and then we get our access cavity outline form. We will completely remove the roof. So this part where we remove the roof, that is called as de-roofing of the pulp chamber, because we are removing the roof of the pulp chamber. So how do you do this? Initial de-roofing, we will be using the same round burr. Okay, we will be using the same round burr. I'll show you one slide here. Perpendicular and parallel, you expose the pulp chamber with a dropping effect. Then this is de-roofing. So what you do is, with the round burr, okay, the head of the round burr, you engage the undercut. Undercut in the roof. What is the undercut in the roof? This part. Okay, this is the opening of the roof of the pulp chamber. So you engage the undercut or the roof of the pulp chamber with the burr head, and then you move the burr head outwards. So it's like removing the undercut when you do for your cavity preparation. So you go inside the tooth, engage the undercut, and then you move the burr outwards. So the cutting motion is when you move the burr out from the access cavity. So this you keep on doing till the time you remove all the pulp chamber roof. Okay, clear this one? De-roofing. Now I'll show you here on the tooth. So now we're going to start with the de-roofing. I have exposed the pulp chamber. That black opening here, that is the roof of the pulp chamber which is exposed. So what I'm going to do is, maintaining my outline form with the same round burr, I will go inside, engage the undercut, and move the burr inside out. You see? Inside out, following the outline form. we have exposed the pulp chamber and we started the de-roofing with the round burr. So de-roofing, again the same. Now here is the one tip which I want to give you, because this is the step where most of the students they tend to do the mistake. What is the mistake? When you're doing the de-roofing, you tend to give more angulation to the burr, okay, while moving the burr out. If you do any more angulation than required, what will happen is you will cut more amount of tooth structure from that wall, be it a buccal wall, mesial, distal or lingual wall. So any extra removal of the internal wall of the excess cavity, that is also an error of excess cavity preparation, and the name of that error is gouging. Gouging. Now what does this gouging means? Gouging means extra removal of internal wall of excess cavity. In short words, overcutting or over preparation. So this gouging can be prevented if you follow a basic rule of your excess cavity. That means, first of all, don't choose an oversized burr. You have to choose a proper size of the burr when you start your cavity preparation. As I told you, a number 4 round burr is good, and when you're choosing the taper fisher burr, don't choose a taper fisher burr which is very big or broad or wider. Obviously, a bigger burr will cut more tooth structure. So choose a smaller or optimum size of the burr. And the secondly, important thing is angulation of the burr when you are doing this cutting or preparing the excess cavity. Always the tip of the burr should be directed, okay, toward the center, and this should be parallel to the long axis like this, okay. Slight tilt, tip of the burr directed toward the center of the tooth, okay. If you follow this, the chances of gouging are less. It's not like there will not be any gouging, but if you follow the rules, the chances of the mistakes, they are minimal. So following the same thing, go inside, out, inside, out, inside, out. What I'm doing is I'm engaging the roof of the burr and I'm doing my de-roofing. So whatever tooth structure is getting engaged in with the burr head, I'm removing that tooth structure or undercut while the outward motion of the burr. Okay. First you engage. Engaging is when you move the burr inside. Then you engage the undercut. Cutting is when you move the burr outside. Okay. Now. Okay. So at the same time, what I am doing is I am trying to maintain the outline form, the shape of the excess cavity. Triangular shape, base towards the incisal edge and tip or apex towards the cingulum. So you keep on doing this de-roofing with the round burr, and once you have done the initial de-roofing, then for the final de-roofing or completion of the walls, you can change the burr now from round burr. You can take the, what is the other burr which I told you? Endo Z or safe and taper fisher burr, any one of these. So these two burrs, particularly this one, they are almost of the same size. So you can choose any one of these. But if you see this burr, it's very big. You see this, the difference?
Yes.
So which burr is more suitable to use, left or right? The one on the left. Considering the size, if you use the burr one on the right, obviously there will be more amount of removal of the tooth structure. Chances of gouging or over preparation or overcutting are more. So I will use this Endo Z burr. So this selection of the burr depends upon the size of the tooth. Okay. If you are working on a lateral incisor, which is very small in size, so you can use a small taper fisher burr also. Okay. So the usage is the same, parallel to long axis. Okay. Tip of the burr toward the center, slight lingual tip. Now this is the burr where the students they tend to do the mistake. What mistake? They will keep it straight, and when you keep it straight, it will rub against the incisal edge, and it will cut the incisal edge. So you have to give a slight lingual tip. Okay. Okay, and then how to use it? Just brush the burr, keep it along the walls. The shape of the burr itself will get you the proper shape of the walls. That is this divergence which you need for the tapering or funnel shape of the access cavity. I will just problem with the hand is it's not getting locked. The burr is not getting locked inside. Okay, so I'm just smoothly finishing my walls. Once you feel like you have done complete de-roofing, how will you check for complete de-roofing? Huh? How will you check whether the de-roofing is complete or incomplete?
The broad triangle outwards.
Take your explorer, okay, and then what you do is you move the explorer inside out. Okay, go inside your access cavity or the root canal. The tip of this explorer, you move it inside out of your access cavity and see or look for any catch, especially in this line angles area. What are these line angles actually?
Pulp horns.
These are the pulp horns, exactly. And this is the area where you tend to do incomplete de-roofing. Incomplete de-roofing, you tend to leave the pulp horns there. So check for the line angles first, then you check all the walls, buccal, lingual, mesial, distal wall. Okay. So lingual wall still I can see there is slight, okay, catch. The line angles, I'm good. I'm trying to move it inside out, it is smoothly coming out. The mesial and distal. So what is the next step now? Pulp, I have entered, I have finished the de-roofing. Now I will go to the third part of my access cavity preparation, third and final part. What is that? That is coronal flaring and lingual shoulder removal. Okay, coronal flaring and lingual shoulder removal. Now what is this lingual shoulder on the slides here? Just see the slide on the screen. You see here this green part here on the arrow or on the screens. Okay, this lingual shoulder is actually a dentin shelf. Okay, 1 or 2 millimeters below the level of cingulum, which okay is actually on the lingual wall of your access cavity. So what happens here is if you don't remove the lingual shelf here, suppose here, where is the file?
It's straight.
Yeah, I will not get a straight line access to my. Here, I can feel, you can't see, but I can feel the lingual wall is putting pressure on the file. Okay, if I take an X-ray, it will be same like I have shown you that initial X-ray. So that is there is pressure on the file from the lingual wall, which is pushing the file more buccally. So this can be a cause of problems later on. Incomplete, you can say compression or inadequate compression of the lingual wall, and even fracture of the files. So how to overcome this? We will use now low speed handpiece with Gates Glidden drill. Gates Glidden drill. This is the Gates Glidden drill. So I told you we will use size 3 and size 2. So where to use size 3 and where to use size 2?
So only in this size 3 and 2 or?
Almost from upper central, upper lintel, canine. Even you can use size 4 or size 3 when the canal size is very big. In optimally sized canals, size 2 and size 3, they are good. Okay. The size 3 we're going to use just at the orifice. Okay. And the size 2 we're going to go more deeper into the canal. Okay. At the junction of, if you divide the root into 3 parts, the cervical, middle and apical. So size 2 you have to use till the junction of cervical to middle third, okay, till this level, okay, and size 3 only at the orifice. Why? So because size 3 means it's bigger in size, size 2 is smaller in size. So we want this funnel shape preparation of the walls. So obviously if you use a bigger size more coronally and a smaller size more apically you will get shape of the walls. Okay, apically doesn't mean going to the apical third. No, gates cleaner should only be used till, as I said, for coronal flaring, till the cervical 1/3 or at the junction of the cervical to middle 1/3. Don't take it very deep into the canal. This is another mistake the students do. They take the gates cleaner very deep into the canal, and then what will happen? There are chances of errors. There will be perforation, or the instrument can break, it can separate. So be very careful with this gates cleaner. It's a very, very fragile instrument. Now, how to use this? You have to use like your low speed handpiece. You first lock it, then no water. It should be used without water. And another rule, you have to adjust the RPMs. You see, this is a knob. You rotate it, the speed will increase. Okay? You rotate clockwise, the speed or RPM they will decrease. So it should be used at high RPMs or low RPMs? Low RPMs. Okay, so you have to adjust the RPMs. Okay. If you ask the number, around 1000 RPMs is good, because in clinics, the chairs, you have this setting to adjust the RPMs. Again, this is a mistake the students in the 5th year they tend to do. They use the gauge leader, but they forget to decrease the RPMs. They use the gauge leader at the same RPMs in which you use the high-speed handpiece. So what will happen?
Cut more.
It will cut more and it will break. It will fracture. These are not designed to use at high end. You see the design? So fragile, very thin and narrow. So if you use at high RPMs, it will get engaged in denting and then it will break. So you have to adjust the RPMs. Okay, this much is okay. Okay, 1000 RPM is just higher than speed. This much is fine for the gauge cleaner. Then another rule for the gauge cleaner, it should always be in motion when it enters the tube. What does that mean? It doesn't mean like, it means that you should not do like this. You put it inside and then you press the foot control. No, it will break. It should be rotating when it goes inside the canal, and you go inside and just brush the wall. The motion of the use of gauge cleaner is just brushing or painting. That means no force should be applied on the gauge cleaner. Let it do the cutting on its own. Like you brush the wall, like you paint the wall, the same strokes, the brushing strokes, inside out, inside out. So you go inside the canal, okay, just at the level of orifice, do the lingual wall, the mesial, distal and the buccal wall. So this I am using at this level, okay. Now, what I am going to do now is, because I am doing the cutting, so there is some creation of debris. So I will use this irrigation. What is this? This is the syringe with the nipple. Okay, and this solution, what I put here is water, but in clinics, this is hypochlorite, sodium hypochlorite. That is the most commonly used irrigant. Now, what is the function of this? The primary function of these irrigants is
accessory.
disinfection of the root canal. That is the primary function. Secondary function, one of these is to remove the debris out of the canal. So, how to use this irrigation syringe? First, yeah, you have to bend it. Okay, so take the needle cover and you bend the needle from the center like this. Okay, and then you slightly do the irrigation, and this irrigation, the speed of irrigation should be like this, drop by drop. Okay, don't do a continuous. Okay, it should be drop by drop. That is the ideal rate of irrigation. So you go inside the canal, and this irrigation syringe, when you do the irrigation, it should be moving up and down. You see this red thing coming out? What is that? Debris. Okay, debris. So up and down slowly, let all the debris flow out. Then what you do is, I have used size 3 more coronally. Then I will change my gauge grid to size 2. Okay, one size smaller. I will use size 2 and then go more.
To junction.
Yeah, more apically. Okay, or more, you can say at the junction of cervical to middle 1/3. And the same rules of motion are the same. You should be moving when it goes inside, RPM should be low, without water. You go inside, now you can see it will go till the level of the cervical to middle 1/3. I think this one again is size 3, I will use size 2. Okay. He is going more deep into the canal at the junction of cervical to middle 1/3. Again on the walls, buccal, lingual, medial, distal wall. Don't overuse it. 4 to 5 seconds in the canal are good enough. Okay. Irrigation. You see the debris coming out. Okay. Once the irrigation is finished, then again you finally what you do is just imagine all the walls. See, everything is smooth. Okay, the walls should be smooth. No irregular or rough margins. Okay. Check for any irregularities with your explorer. You can see now the explorer. If you slide the explorer from outwards to inwards, directly from the walls, the explorer tip should enter the root canal. Okay. The buccal wall along into the root canal, slide into the root canal. That means the walls should guide you to the canal. There should be no obstruction, no step, no concavity on the walls. If there is any obstruction, any step, any concavity, that means you have done something wrong during the extension. There is gouging, or there is overcutting, or there is some incomplete removal. What happened? You're getting electric currents or what? So once you have done this, and finally you take your number 10 or number 15 K file, you put inside the tube, and see now I have a straight line access without any pressure. The file is going to the apical third of the root canal. So this is the access cavity preparation. Now to finish, I just want to show you some errors which can happen during the access cavity preparation, especially for the maxillary central incisor. On this, rotate the screens. This screens. Here, the figure A. What do you see in figure A? The burr is going to the buccal surface, and we call it as a buccal perforation. So what is the reason? Labial or buccal perforation. So what is the reason for this? Yeah, when you forget to change the angulation of the burr. Initially what I told you, you keep it perpendicular. Once you reach to the enamel 1 millimeter depth or to blending, you make it parallel. If you forget to make it parallel, you go through the same angulation, obviously you're going to come out of the opposite surface, and you're going to do one of the major errors in endodontic, that is perforation. Okay, here in case is a buccal perforation because it's going out of the buccal side. This can happen on any side, buccal, lingual, mesial, distal, depending upon which side you are doing more angulation. The second error, you see the file or the burr, you have removed more amount of the buccal wall. So what is that error? What I told you? What is this? Gouging. That is the gouging of the buccal wall. Here, because it's going towards the buccal side, we call it the buccal wall gouging. But the same thing, it can happen on any side, depending upon which side you go more. The third error, the C, this is the mesial or distal gouging. It's the same thing. Either it can buccal, lingual, mesial, distal gouging. And finally, figure D. What do you see in figure D? What is the error there? Incomplete de-roofing. There are two errors here. Two errors there. One, you see the pulp horns are not removed, right?
Yes.
So that is incomplete de-roofing. What is another error? Yeah, lingual shoulder is not removed. Okay, so that is the second error. So these are the different errors that can happen during the access cavity operation of maxillary central incisor. Clear, everyone?
Yeah.
Any doubts? Okay. So right now we will finish this class here because you have to go for the vaccine.